morning. It's Viewpoint. This is Busby. We have with us two fine guests this morning. At last, we've been able to make some arrangements. First and foremost, what is so rare as a day in June, today?
This is gorgeous. I could stand this for a long time, but we're not going to have an opportunity to do that. It's going to be hotter than Hades' pup for Mount Pulaski this weekend. More's the pity.
Well, they're prepared for that in Mount Pulaski over there in Vinegar Hill for this big hoop-de-doo they're having over there. They're having air-conditioned tents, if you please, over there.
Did you ever hear of that?
For some of their activities. Air-conditioned tents.
You gotta love
it. Those folks are prepared. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'd like to remind folks that this program is broadcast on WLCN online, and so your friends from Bangladesh to Reykjavik can see you, Mrs. Busby. If you have anybody over there in Bangladesh or maybe Mattoon, Illinois that you'd like to say good morning to, you go right ahead. I'll say good morning to our good friend Lois Harvey right up there in La Crosse, Wisconsin,
yes,
who's a steady viewer, by the way. She's disappointed when this doesn't come on, so I have to tell you about that very carefully, Jim. Anyway, good morning to Lois. Well, I start with a kudo or two. Usually we keep it local. And today, I'm going to use a little media license, if I may, and we're going to move way north for our kudos and take our collective hats off, I presume collective hats, to the jury who convicted such a lousy governor that we've had. So, of a serious note, they obviously took that charge very seriously. They obviously deliberated long and hard about it, and they arrived at their verdict, and I think justice has been served. Now we'll see how hard the judge is.
I thought he was being very honest, though, when he was so blindsided. I don't think he thought it would happen.
Well, he apparently didn't have a clue at the time he was governor. He didn't have a clue during the whole entire trial. Well, we're not here to talk about that. That's history. Why don't you take a minute and introduce our guest, Mrs. Busby. The firm which they represent, as I was just commenting off air, is really very, very important to Logan County, not only for the economic impact, which is significant. They are involved, their firm is involved in a very direct way with the community. So why don't you introduce our folks?
In fact, that's kind of what brought this whole thing about, your direct involvement with the total community. Our guests today are Patti Becker. She's in human relations. She is the head of that at the Eaton plant here in Lincoln. And Joe Blankley is the manufacturing manager. That sounds like an awful big job in a plant, in a manufacturing plant.
I suspect it
keeps you busy.
Well, we have a real strong team, and it's a team effort. It's not just one individual.
It
takes an awful lot of people to run the plant and to make sure that we're delivering what the customer wants.
That seems to be the thrust in Eaton. This team business. It's not an I can, I will, I did. It's teams. Have I misunderstood that?
No, not in the least. It's a collective group of people, and we try to include everyone in the facility on as many decisions as we possibly can in order to make it work and make it happen.
Well, Jill, that comes to the front. Excuse me, honey, I'm sorry.
No.
That comes to the front when we have community drives and so forth. Eaton Industries, this is up there at the top of the list on participation by everybody out there, not just corporate participation. And that's one of the reasons that, as Judy alluded to a while ago, that we wanted to have representatives of Eaton up here to talk about that, because the firm and its entire associates are really involved in the community. Let's just go a little bit south of their main plant there and look at that football field, which they have made available for our youth football program. Now, somebody say, well, but that is an important thing, because you're making an impact on a lot of, whether they become football players, or that's not important, that's a side issue. But you're making an impact on a lot of youngsters out there who are having fun and practicing a game that they might hope to play in a safe environment. And that's just one little thing that they do out here.
I was so impressed with the participation out there in the angel tree that the JC started. In fact, I think that may have begun nationwide at the local Kmart store. Do you remember that, Patti? At any rate,
Patty's too young to remember that far.
No, I do.
at any rate, they just have to fill their tree more and more. The first round of angels are gone right away, and it's not. They just don't buy them some nice new socks and a truck. It's bicycles, brand new bicycles and things. Your people there are so generous to the community, and then in return for that generosity and participation, they've been recognized as an efficient plant and good people by the whole international Eaton Corporation. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that. It wasn't very long ago. It was this year.
Well, last year we were the recipients of the Assembly Plant of the Year from Assembly Magazine. Was it last year? 2010?
It was 2010. It was Assembly Magazine and the Boston Consulting Group, which presented the award to our VPGM and our plant manager at the time, and it was last October in 2010. So
and there were pictures in the paper of the whole crew out there.
Oh yeah, and it's I mean it's a tribute to all the people in the shop and everybody who supports it in terms of them contributing and making sure that in the economic times that we're going through, that we were able to still be competitive, still meet customer requirements, and still drive the business to a new level.
I don't know if everybody in our greater community realizes that Eaton Electrical, which we have here, is just a part of the total Eaton. It is a really big outfit worldwide.
It is. I think I just read 80,000 employees worldwide. And what is it? How many billion in sales? I don't remember the exact total. But the electrical business is about half. Eaton actually started. We're actually celebrating 100 years this year of Eaton Corporation. So Eaton's having a big celebration in October. They'll celebrate 100 years. Our CEO is going to be the bell ringer at open the stock exchange and that kind of thing.
Oh, pretty neat.
Yeah, but it started out on the vehicle side. I think the first product they made
were axles.
Axles, that's right.
Is that right?
Axles, yeah. And so their business grew there, and we no longer make axles, but about half of Eaton's business is what's on the industrial side. So they make truck transmissions, valves, big in the auto and truck industry. And then electrical is kind of the other side of the business, where we produce residential products, but we're also into industrial electrical, relays, controls, electronics, things like that. So.
Now, specifically, I'd like to ask what products do we manufacture here in Lincoln, and their distribution is perhaps worldwide, or take us through that just a minute, Patricia.
Well, with electrical products, of course, and I'm not an electrician, but you have to meet electrical codes in countries. So what we produce in Lincoln, and we're the only Eaton plant that produces what we produce, are what in the trades they call load centers, what we call breaker boxes. Right. So the breaker boxes in our homes are what we produce in Lincoln. We stamp all the metal, we assemble all of those. And then we also produce metering devices, like your meter reader reads. We make single sockets and also multiple sockets. And air conditioning disconnects are a big product of ours, which everyone has if you have central air. So all of our products go into homes in the United States. And the electrical business has other manufacturers in other countries, but their products stay pretty much in those countries. So if you have a Cutler hammer box in your home, it was made in Lincoln.
Right. Just to show you some of the volume, the load centers in any given day, just the normal breaker box that you have in your basement will produce anywhere from 2,000 to 3,200 in a day. The little gray box that sits outside for your central air, that little gray box that mounts on the side of your house, we're doing about 8,000 of those a day. And so, I mean, it's a high volume. It's vertically integrated. We start with the raw coil steel. We produce the box, paint the box, assemble the box, and ship it. Now, you talked about distribution. We have 3 warehouses where we supply. One is in Spartanburg, South Carolina. The other one's in Memphis, Tennessee, and one out in Mira Loma, California. So we ship 90% of our product to those warehouses, where distributors or retail customers will draw out of those warehouses to supply their stock.
Well, like everything else, it's economy driven. As the economy goes, so goes the necessary for your employees to have work. And there are times that come when when things have slowed down. We've had to back off a little bit, and now you seem to be going. Not in spite of the fact I saw we're right here in Logan County. We have a drop of 23% in the home permits, as building permits, and that can be reflected nationwide all over. But you have right now a pretty steady workforce, and you're working 2 shifts, or is there the 3rd shift?
We've been working 2 shifts. We've been able to, with the increased volume that we've had, we're still not back to any levels near where we were before.
Nobody is.
We've been able to recall everyone who was on layoff due to the housing market recession. So we have everybody called back. We've seen steady orders coming in. And once again, I mean, if you look at the housing starts, and that's permits is a leading indicator for us. And people pulling permits to build homes has been bouncing along the bottom. They really haven't recovered that much. But you have an awful lot of people out there upgrading the homes that they're in right now, and refitting their homes and upgrading electrical. So our sales through our retail groups, and we're in all the big box stores, have been increasing. So that's been helping out where we were. I mean, obviously before everything happened with the general recession, we were running almost 2.5 shifts. You're
shipping primarily for residential use, but do we also make out here equipment for industrial use as well?
Very small amount of equipment.
Small amount.
And it goes into small, and I was going to say strip malls, those types of things. So that's more metering devices, some larger load centers, but not a lot. It's an opportunity for growth for us. We've identified that as an opportunity to get into the light industrial, churches, strip malls, restaurants, those type of areas.
Now you start with a piece of coiled steel for your basic box, and how long will it take for when you stamp out that first from that piece of coiled steel? How long will it take for that box to go through to become a completed component ready to ship?
It could be within a day.
Within a day?
Yes. Depending upon our volumes and what we're running. But we can run a piece of coiled steel through one of our presses with our progressive dies, and it starts off as a piece of coil, and it comes out the back end of the press with a completed case.
How amazing!
I've been in that plant, Judith. I don't know where you have been. Considering the product and what they make, that's a clean operation. There's some concerted effort, obviously for safety reasons, that goes without saying, but over and above and beyond that, that's a well-kept, well-organized plant. You don't walk in there, you don't have a bunch kicking a bunch of debris around to walk around the plant.
No, I mean, in the plant, the building's 54 years old.
That's hard to believe.
And the building is in really, really great shape. I mean, obviously you have to take care of the facility, and we've done a pretty good job at that.
But that's kind of almost unusual in this country. Usually we think we have to tear it down and build something new, but it just proves that if you take care of what you have, you can have it.
Yes.
Now, Eaton came here as Cutler Hammer, and I don't know, that was a lot of years ago. Gosh.
54?
The plant was built in 54. It was built by Cutler Hammer, which was a separate company at the time, headquartered in Milwaukee. And they moved work from New Jersey because they were growing, and it was a circuit breaker plant primarily at that time. So they bought, what do we have, 80 acres in Logan County and built the plant from the ground up. It was a state-of-the-art plant at the time in 1954, and then opened up for business. And then Eaton purchased the whole of Cutler Hammer, that whole company, in the 70s. So that's when we continued to make Cutler Hammer products, but it was Eaton owned the business, so it was an acquisition.
It's the way of the country, though, isn't it? This company buys that company, and that company buys that company. You came to Eaton through Westinghouse.
Through Westinghouse, correct.
And Eaton came to us by way of Cutler Hammer.
Right.
And it just kind of works that way all around. You were talking, Joe, about the warehouses that your product is shipped to.
Yes.
And they're so far away. Is there any chance, why wouldn't they have a warehouse here? It would be cheaper to ship it from here to here than here to South Carolina.
Well, you have to look at the distribution, all the logistics that goes with it, and where your customers are, who you're trying to serve, what market you're trying to serve. And recently we've done a realignment as to where parts and pieces are stored. We used to have more product in our Memphis warehouse, but we found out we were crossing paths with our Spartanburg warehouse, so we moved material from Memphis to Spartanburg in order to take care of the East Coast up and down that corridor, because if you look at the locations of these warehouses, they're right off of major thoroughfares. In Memphis, they're right off I-55. And in Spartanburg, they're off the Interstate 81 out there. So, you're looking at where your product, the end user, is, where it's going to. So that's why the distribution locations, and they're always reevaluating those. Now, we do have a couple what we call mini warehouses or small places. We have one up around Chicago, a couple small ones to take care of very specific customers.
I have a question for both of you on the manufacturing side and also from the personnel side. We'll first address the manufacturing side. Government regulations and rules and so forth, how do they impact you as a manager out there, and have you had to make a lot of accommodations and adjustments and so forth? And then I want to get to Mrs. Becker and speak to that side of it.
Well, all our product is UL certified. So United Laboratories underwriters, we have everything certified through them. We are so they assure the customer the quality of our product. The quality is there. I mean, if I would look at our warranty numbers, it's less than 0.07%. So we do not get an awful lot back in returns, and when we do, some of them are because of customer issues. But the government per se, I mean, we operate under OSHA regulations for safety, and it's not it doesn't impede us in doing anything we need to do.
When you started, Mrs. Becker, it was probably called personnel director or something in that.
I've been a personnel manager, yes.
Yeah, right. Now are we human resources, or are we going politically correct?
Correct.
That's going crazy with political correctness, but that's another story. You have seen innumerable changes as you administer your part of the operation as far as compliance and so forth. Could you comment about that at all?
Well, I think just being compliant with the law is just part of doing business. It's being part of a large organization like Eaton. We have a lot of resources at our disposal to make sure that we're always in compliance and we know what's going on. So that's a good thing. But I think from a regulatory standpoint, I don't know that we've seen that much change. I guess we always just try to do the right thing in terms of what the law requires, and that's our goal, is to always make sure that we're in compliance. So
Is there, are you working under any type of this is probably a very naive question, maybe a stupid question too. It might be more stupid than naive, I don't know. Is there any kind of quota that is handed down that you have to kind of conform to?
No.
Well, that's a stupid question.
No, it's not a stupid question.
Yeah.
We do have plans. We do have to report. Are you talking about like diversity?
Yes,
in the
diversity.
plans? Okay.
Specifically.
We do plans as Eaton is a government contractor. We don't do a lot of government work. We do sometimes, but Eaton as a corporation is a government contractor. So we do have affirmative action plans. So we do evaluations of our workforce every year, and we compare it to the outside workforce in terms of what types of diversity we should have represented in our plant. So we look at that every year and make sure we're represented in the right way, the way we should be. So we have a pretty diverse workforce actually for this part of the country. We actually do a lot of recruitment particularly for our professional folks nationwide. So we have a lot of people that come from all over the corporation through promotion. Our plant manager just came from Michigan. And we have a lot of people that move around the corporation doing different things that come to our community to work there. So we have a pretty diverse population, but we do keep an eye on that. But we don't have any quotas. What our goal is to get to those points where we're fully represented the way we should be.
Well, common sense would say that you would hire the most qualified person, notwithstanding diversity.
Absolutely.
That just kind of makes common sense, but unfortunately, common sense doesn't always prevail out there in the workplace in all instances. 54. Was Russ Hahn the first general plant manager?
We were just talking about that, and I'm not sure.
I kind of think he might have been. Yeah. Boy, that goes back a day or two.
It was before, yeah.
From a manufacturing standpoint, Joe, is there any one particular problem that keeps arising insofar as smooth workflow, as far as start to finish on a product? Is there a phase of the manufacturing that's a little more difficult than others?
If you look at it as a whole, we have the normal issues that any manufacturing facility would have. Well, at times we'll have equipment failures, equipment breakdowns, those types of things. But we have a very knowledgeable maintenance workforce that is able to repair these parts and pieces as quickly as possible. We'll have to, we do a capital plan every year. So we're always looking at our equipment. We're always looking at new technology. How can we keep up and how can we update our equipment? So we have a capital plan that could be as high as $3 million. Right now it's about $2.5 million. We've just installed some new equipment in the facility. We've updated our paint lines. We've added additional colors to those. So, other than the normal things that happen in any factory anywhere, there's not a real big one thing that happens all the time. It's a matter of us keeping up with our preventive maintenance, making sure our equipment flows, making sure that everything's where we need it, when we need it, and and it's evidenced in our results. And we talked earlier about the some of the awards that the plant has earned. We've been what we call in the plant, in Eaton Corporation, there's a Eaton Business System. And in the past 2 cycles, the Lincoln facility has been a premier award winner for that. Our division was a premier award winner. So we've won the EBE award in the last 2 cycles. We're the only division to do it 2 cycles in a row. The plant was a premier winner, and you do that by results. It gets down to what are we contributing to the corporation? What are we contributing to our stakeholders, our stockholders, the community, everybody's, all our employees? So we've been able to maintain some great results over the past 6-7 years. We've been our fill, and we measure our customer performance based upon fill rates. And when you're measuring over 96% in on-time delivery day in and day out, year in and year out. You know, that it just goes to show, you know, how hard the people on the shop floor and everybody in the support groups and the offices work to make it happen. And this plant is a premier award winner. We just had the Worldwide Leadership Conference where all the leaders of Eaton Corporation got together. The Lincoln facility was mentioned in that as a premier award winner and a place to emulate. So we've been really, really lucky. And it's not luck. It's everybody
a lot of planning.
out there. It's
a lot of planning.
A lot of planning, but you know, I have to really talk about the people on that shop floor who day in and day out come in, work hard, want to do the right thing, and they want to do the job. They want to do it right. They want to build a quality product day in and day out. And these people come in, and during the middle of summer, you talked much earlier about the weather is going to change over the holiday. When it gets warm out there, that plant is not air conditioned like the tents in Pulaski. All right, and you know, it gets warm out there. It gets hot and
hot. It doesn't get warm; it gets doggone hot.
You're right. You're exactly right. And these people come in and day in and day out and work overtime to make sure that we're delivering product on time. And I just can't commend the people on that shop floor enough about their attitudes and the fact that they, you know, persevere and make it happen.
The same pride that you exhibit in the workplace is exhibited throughout that plant. I don't know how that comes about, how you start that, how you make that grow in a plant, but boy, it sure has marvelous results, doesn't it?
We're going to answer that in just a minute, but we're going to have some hot folks if we don't go to some commercials right now. Go right ahead, Mr. Ash.